we we got a lot to talk about. But first, looks like we got a chat here. Let's see what this guy is saying. VR says you can really tell where AEW is right now, where Kenny Omega's return gets a tepid reaction from the live crowd, and barely made a ratings difference.
I think the ratings discussions have to be put to rest because now that every wrestling show is part of a streaming service,
Yeah,
it's just different now. And they basically TV has waved the flag because we're never going to get real numbers. Like even Netflix, like 8 billion people watched Raw this week. I mean, like, and we know that's bullshit. It turned out like Rich and Joe, if you want to have really good ratings discourse for Netflix, Rich and Joe had an amazing breakdown this week on the flagship. Can't say enough good things about it. But I mean, like, it doesn't matter. The ratings things, they really just don't matter anymore. Now, as far as the tepid reaction from the live crowd, you're on to something from there.
yeah. I think a lot of things are getting tepid reactions from the live crowd. I was surprised that it wasn't like a bad reaction, but
No.
it just seemed like the audience on Dynamite was cold in general, and Kenny was not able to heat them up. And then he immediately gets attacked. But look, I like Brian Cage and I like Lance Archer, but really, so, like they're the ones that come down. It's like okay,
I mean,
that's the first match.
they're Callus's
Yeah,
new minions. I mean,
yeah,
train. They're Callus's new minions. I get it. You're gonna want to move up the pagoda. We're gonna get a. I mean, quite frankly, I think this Kenny Omega Brian Cage match is gonna be a lot of fun. Right.
yeah.
So I'm okay with it. We're gonna get a Lance Archer. We got what are they calling them? The Monsters of Cage. What are they called?
I don't.
Lance Archer and Brian Cage. They have a tag team name now. I don't know what they're
They
called.
do. Yeah,
I can't remember what it
the
is.
Monster Machines.
Monster Machines. That's what it is. They
Blaze.
should call
Oh,
Monster.
my daughter loved that show on Nickelodeon. Blaze and the Monster Machines. She loved that show.
And then we're gonna get them tagging up against Kenny and Osprey. It'll be fun TV. But I mean, the problem we'll get. Should we start with this or should because we're here
Let's.
right now?
Well, I mean, we're already doing it, so let's just get
Let's
into
just
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was gonna save it for the end of the show, but we'll just get into it right now. So the AEW diehard fan base is revolting as we speak against Tony Khan. I mean, it's been coming for a while.
You and I have
Like
been
it's
there for a
like
year.
yeah. The popularity decline has been getting worse and worse. And when we think it's not going to get any worse, it continues to then get worse. So the popularity decline for AEW continues to decline. Well, the hardest of hardcores were not really critical of AEW for a while. And in fact, they would constantly make excuses for them. But even those guys are starting to revolt right now. Tony Khan even put up a match graphic about this 12-man tag that's going to happen, I think, next week on Collision. And it's, got Adam Copeland, Cope.
Cope.
Yeah, it's got Cope,
Cope Field.
and all of his people, FTR and the Outrunners, and I think Will Hobbs, who's getting a title shot, but he's just one of the out of focus guys on the graphic. He's just like all the way in the back. And then on the other one is Moxley and the Death Riders, and then behind them is the Learning Tree. So Moxley, who's wanting to destroy all of AEW, now teaming with the Learning Tree. so we got them on the same side. So two factions that really shouldn't even get any more TV time because they have, both of them have flopped. I know some people like they like Jericho's shtick to where like some of the live audience because they like to mimic stuff. Wrestling fans like to mimic things and count. Okay, just because you got them mimicking and counting, that does not mean that you're over. But anyway, but that's what people think about the Learning Tree. So they're on the same side, and for whatever reason, it was this that set people off. I was dumbfounded as to how many hate tweets that match is getting. It seems like a normal match to me, but boy oh boy are people shitting all over it.
Yeah, I was surprised by this too because you pointed this out to me. Like, what are they revolting about? Like, I guess you and I have been on this train since I was making my Maximania graphics last year.
Yeah, Bogo Max.
Yeah, but we were doing the Bogo Max thing. Like the disappointing about Moxley is both you and I were super excited when this angle started. When it seemed like Moxley wanted to just murder everybody, we were like, this can be something. We thought it was going to be like an NWO inspired thing, and they were going to destroy AEW and just kill people. And that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Like they barely wrestled. Like it just, I still don't know quite what they want to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so muddled. Like it's so weird to me that the bigger the room has gotten at AEW, the more unclear the storytelling has become. And that's where we're at right now. Like nothing gets better. Like, and I like Dynamite this week. I thought Dynamite was a fun show this week. The Gauntlet match was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. But like the more people start working on this soup, the more bland the soup gets. Like
Yeah.
they've lost the ability to really just tell a consistent narrative story. They really have.
Yeah. Lady B in the chat. Welcome, lady. I've never seen the Friends pivot gif used so much in the last few hours. Yeah. So it's one by one, another diehard hardcore AEW fan after another telling Tony Khan that he needs to pivot. He needs to get the title off of Moxley. The Death Rider story is failing. Stop with the Jericho. Dude, I take it you didn't get a chance to watch Collision last night.
No, I watched last night. I'm so far behind stuff.
Okay. So last night, my son he was asleep and he would not wake up. So instead of all of us going down to the pool, it's like, honey, it's your birthday. You take the kid down to the pool. You take the daughter down to the pool. I'm gonna stay up here with the boy and let him get his rest, right? So naturally, I put on Collision while my wife and daughter were downstairs, enjoying the pool and the sunshine. And Jericho and Dax Harwood had one of the worst AEW main events I think I've ever seen. Which is like Jericho is a good wrestler, and Dax I think still to this day is very good. I know he's been a little bit beat up.
Yeah, he's still beat up. I think he's a good wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah. So both of these guys are really good. Now Jericho passed way past his prime at this point, right? I think that's pretty fair to say, but he can occasionally still crank out a really good match. So you would assume that Jericho and Dax would have a really good match, but now not only was it not a good match, like the ending of the match where they botched this spot where Jericho was getting his, I keep forgetting he's the Ring of Honor champion, but he gets his Ring of Honor title because for whatever reason he can't just beat Dax. He's got to do all kinds of shenanigans, right? So he grabs the Ring of Honor title and he pulls it into the ring, and then he just pokes the referee in the eye, like randomly. And then Dax goes up to the top rope, and he's coming down with a flying headbutt. But Jericho's so exhausted, he forgets what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to get the belt laid on him, and then Dax is going to headbutt the belt. But Jericho just got exhausted and didn't move the belt over. So Dax just hits him with the regular headbutt. And then Dax gets up, and then he hits the referee. And then Jericho hits Dax with the belt and then does the roll-up pin. It was the weirdest thing. And then one by one, and then all of a sudden, Learning Tree comes out and they start to jump him, and then Copeland and his guys come out and they even the odds. Death Riders come out, and while all this is happening, all these different people are coming out. Big stars are coming out. The crowd couldn't care less. It was sad, to be honest with you. I'm just like, what happened to the AEW I loved? So like it was kind of one of the more pathetic main events I think I've ever seen.
They have never recovered from Jimmy Jacobs entering this company. I'm just going
to
say,
what?
I know he's gone now, but I'm going to blame
he is. Him. You know what? He was really bad, but I'm going to go back even a little bit further than that. I think buying Ring of Honor has been a net negative for the company because that is overextended Tony Khan and his creativity. And then right after that was when they brought on Collision, and he promised that Collision was going to be an A show. And we had Joe Lanza on our show. This is the first time that we had met Joe. Mm-hmm. And he said Tony Khan has never been able to make another show an A show. Dynamite's always A show. He's always failed to make another show an A show. It always ends up being subservient to Dynamite. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened to Collision. So I think bringing on Ring of Honor, taking on Collision, right, when he doesn't have the infrastructure in place, the creative infrastructure in place to add a second show like that that's supposed to be an A show, and then bringing in the WWE writers room, all of those people that come over from there with their bad ideas, and then listening to them instead of listening to the people that brought them here. I think that's been like kind of the downfall in popularity. Guys, I fucking know they're still making a lot of money. This company is grossing a shit ton of money. I'm not saying they're not making money. They are. I'm talking about the popularity.
I don't care how much money they're making. All I care about is the fact that I'm not invested in the show anymore. Like, and I used to just look forward to Dynamite, and I would stay up late and be miserable on Thursdays to watch Dynamite. Like, it's not appointment TV for me. I waited till Saturday to watch it this week, and I heard good things. Like, and it comes down to the fact that the show is just just missable. Like Tony Khan is burnt out, man. He's burnt out, and I don't think he's got the right people around him to take up the slack. Right? We had that discussion. I think I did a JD Oliva project about this. Like, who would you hand over the booking reins to without Tony? None of those idiots in the writer. And this is why we have a friend of ours, I'm not going to name names, mutual names in podcasting, who's like telling me, "Oh, I got emails from so and so and so and so from companies about what's going on." And I'm like, I never get anyone reaching out to me ever to tell me anything, because they're like, that guy's an asshole. Fuck him.
Yeah.
So, and they're right, by the way. They're not wrong. But I mean, like, I just, no one in that infrastructure has proven to me, or has proven to anyone, like, any viable metric has proven that anybody working in that company in a creative capacity can handle the load of running everything. And I'm just going to say it. This is going to get me in trouble. I don't really care. They should just turn everything over to John Muse.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to sugarcoat it anymore. John Muse is more talented than every single person in that room, and doesn't get a shot. It's bullshit.
Yeah. No. Well, he's more creative. Look, we're biased. Okay.
I own it. I own it. I own the fact that I'm biased toward my friend, but I have these conversations. We all do. We have our group thread. We have these conversations with them, and I'm like, this guy's better than anyone they've got going over there right now, and it's frustrating to me.
It's not only the creativity; it's organizational skills.
We don't have those in AEW.
No, and there is a lack of leadership and organizational skills that's going on in this company, and it feels like they're just flying on by the seat of their pants. They got these ideas, and none of them are working out. So, they're all telling the same. Yeah, they're all telling the same stories. And the Death Riders, like, I don't know what separates the Death Riders from every other faction that they have in that company.
Nothing.
There's nothing. They just all of a sudden they just decided they were going to take over one day, and now that's not happening. And now they're friends with the Learning Tree. And none of it makes any sense, and it's not good television, despite the fact that sometimes the show's still pretty good. I mean, they're still going to throw on awesome matches. Mm-hmm. I will say last night, and I've been on this guy's train for a long time, JD, you know this is true from our Brace for Impact days. Last night, Adam Copeland and W. Morrissey fucking killed it. They did. Yeah. Cope, Cope, well, he didn't put over Big Bill. He still beat him, but he put over Big Bill while still beating him. I mean, he's never looked better. And I've always said that he could be a guy for a company. He's got a lot of talent. Unfortunately, he's doing that goofy ass Learning Tree gimmick, but boy, oh boy, did he look awesome in the ring last night.
We were really hard on TNA when they signed him. Right, because this is like early Brace for Impact days that they signed W. Morrissey. We made fun of the name. I think we called them like a law firm or a talent agency or something like that. Yeah. Like, we were all over them about that. And then about halfway through the run, we both said, you know what? Morrissey's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And we figured he was back to WWE, and he wound up at AEW, and he's been good here too. Like, he's got a lot of Kevin Nash in him, but I think he's a better worker than Kevin Nash. I really do. Like, and he has just as much personality, like, just different era. So guys like him don't get the opportunities they probably would have gotten 30 years ago, quite frankly. Like, it's just not working. Like, nothing is firing on all cylinders there. So everything Pressing says, so do change plans on Death Riders? If yes, what's the move you would make, dude? I ain't booking the company. I mean, I don't know.
The move that I would make, I would immediately pivot to Kenny Omega back as champion. That is absolutely number one. I would put the belt right back on Kenny Omega, and then I would start the build for Kenny Omega to then drop the title to Will Ospreay. However, we got to get there, but that's the move that I make. Now, I know both those guys are baby faces right now, but we saw it last night. They're teasing a match between Omega and Ospreay. Like, that's what's coming. Not last night. It was on Dynamite. It was on Dynamite.
It was last night. I don't hate that idea. I don't want to. I'm not ready to give up on Moxley yet, because I still think there could be something there, but just they've squandered it. Like, they squandered Bryan Danielson's retirement. They squandered a disturbing angle for nothing. I don't trust Tony to book this at this point. I think he's fried, man. But I think his ego won't let him step out of the way. This is why I don't get emails. Like, nobody slides in my DMs. Like, I think he's fried, man. But I don't know who else they got. Well, someone in the chat, I forget who it was, said, "Well, that's right exactly." Here. Nice job, Mike.
Hassan Albana Sorry if I mispronounced your name. That's on me. You can send me a DM to teach me the correct pronunciation. I'll get it right next time. But
Line of Mike's DMs.
yeah, Will Washington getting a pass from criticism. He's a lifelong WWE fan. Yeah, that is true. WWE
Well,
guy
that's
with
okay.
WWE tendencies, and they brought the guy in. And look, but here's the thing: I don't know I don't know what stories are his and what stories aren't his. I don't know, so I can't tell you if he's doing a bad job or not.
Yeah, it's all Tony at the end of the day, but no one
Yeah,
is provide. I mean, like it could be people are pitching the greatest things in the world, and Tony is shooting them down. I don't think I believe that, but
yeah.
like, there's just nothing cool. There's nothing cool. I agree. I don't know if Kenny's even hot enough right now. Like, nothing in this company is over. Nothing.
The Kenny that I saw at Tokyo Dome is hot enough, but
But
I don't
that's
know if we're getting that Kenny in AEW because he looked like he was back in Tokyo Dome, like he was refreshed, revitalized.
sure did.
He cut an amazing promo after that match, with blood on his face. The
Mhm.
whole thing was just incredible, and I was like, yes, that's the Kenny that we're getting in AEW. And he came back and he cut like a ho hum promo, and Callis came out, he chased him off, and the next thing you know, he's fighting with Brian Cage and Lance Archer. And like I said, I like Brian Cage. I like Lance Archer. Um, and I understand they got to get Kenny some wins and build him back up. But those two guys being the first two guys to confront him, I thought was a bit weak.
I don't. It doesn't. It doesn't bug me. What bugs me is like we they teased Kenny and Okada, and then like we're dropping that apparently, and Kenny's gonna. It makes sense for Kenny to feud. Well,
Yeah.
does it make
Well,
sense? I mean, like, wasn't Kenny taken out by the Elite? Well, the Elite
yeah,
are gone.
Kenny was
So
taken out by the Elite, and so he was already out. He had come back for one night, and then they beat him up, and then he confronted Okada. I would have scrapped the whole thing and just moved right Kenny to Mox right away. That like the best feud in company history,
it
the
is.
the number one drawing champion in company history, in Kenny Omega. I would have just gone right to it because I know that's a bit of hot shotting, but the company definitely needs a spark.
Here's the thing
And I'm
about
not
Hotch.
saying
People,
John Moxley is done forever, but I think this story
it didn't
is
work.
not is it's
They
done.
dropped. They dropped the ball. Here's the thing about hot shotting is hot shotting can work, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes things need to be hot shotted, right? The plans aren't working right now. The plans aren't working. Like, there's just the pay-per-view is great. Like, they're always going to have great wrestling matches. Like, I think this Tony Storm has amnesia storyline is stupid. I remember when Cactus Jack did it in 93. It was dumb then, it's dumb now.
Yeah.
And like the nerds Twitter followers be like, oh, it's so great. And I hate going on Reddit. People are like pretending that Tony Storm is in fact a rookie. And I just want to slap all these people. Like, it's just,
I deleted my Reddit account a couple years ago, and I'm better
yeah,
for it.
you probably are. I I'm off X. I got to look at something, like it
Yeah.
just, I don't know. Let's trade one bad habit for another. I'm off heroin, but now I'm sniffing glue. Like, like, it's like, I just don't know, man. I just want to like this company again. And every time they give me something to look into, I'm actually into the idea of MJF versus Double J. I really am. But
Yeah,
they're
you're
not going to stick the
transferring
landing.
heat. Yeah, in the chat says, "Fuck it, put the belt on Jarrett, go full on TNA." Um, you know what?
Didn't say that.
Like individually, I don't mind individually that Cope wants the world title and Jeff Jarrett wants the world title, and
Oh,
they're
they
getting
shall.
themselves into the world title
Yeah.
picture. But both of them at the same time, given Jarrett's like 57, 58 probably by now, right? Copeland's pushing 50. We've got a lot of old people on the show right now, and there's a real problem with AEW being uncool. Each of those guys individually are like cool guys, but when you got them all going for the title at once, it's like, okay, why do we have? And I was telling JD a couple days ago. What did I say? Hangman Adam Page and Christopher Daniels are going to wrestle here coming up on Noah next week. I was like, I'm sorry, not Noah. It's Dynamite, AEW Dynamite. It just reminded me of a couple of years ago with Pro Wrestling Noah when you had Keiji Muto as the world champion, and you had all those
Ironhead, Fujita, and Nasawa, and Muhammad Yone, and all these just old fucks. No, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, and a lot of them are still really good. Like they had Satoshi Kojima as a tag champion. Like these guys are all like individually awesome, but then you put them all together on your roster, and you're looking at their rosters like, bro, all these guys are over 50, right? And we got kind of a similar issue with AEW right now.
So I don't hate the idea of everybody staking their claim on Moxley. Like
Right.
you watch old Crockett shows, like old the World Championship Wrestling shows, and everybody would cut those promos with Tony, and every single person called out Ric Flair. Everybody, because Ric Flair is the champion, he was the top
Yep.
dog, you know. So I don't
Yep.
mind people saying that. I don't hate it, but I can't argue your point. Which is why I just saw someone in the chat saying like, "Oh man, they why Hobbs? Why they put Hobbs?" I'm like, well, why not? Like, it was
Yeah.
a surprise. I thought that was the best part of the show was like they're trying to make Hobbs, and Hobbs is a guy that people before the wheels fall off the bus or wanted them to do something with. And like he came out when this gauntlet was a surprise. He'll have a really good match with Moxley. Yeah, Moxley does like the guy. Like
Yeah.
when Hobbs first started to get a little bit of a push, he was with Moxley. So I get it. And why wouldn't you like
Yeah.
Hobbs? Like
So
he's
my
got
criticism of the Hobbs thing,
go
I like
for it.
Hobbs too a lot. Um, he just lost at World's End against Takeshita. They
He
probably
did.
shouldn't have done that match, right? If they were going to push him towards a world title shot.
Mhm.
That's my only criticism of it. I think they want us to forget that he just lost at the pay-per-view.
They did.
And so now he's getting elevated as the world title. So that doesn't make sense to me. That's not something that Mid-South Tony would do. That's something that Mid Tony would do. And so if they were going to go in that direction, I wouldn't have done the Takeshita match. It tells me that they just decided last week that that's what they were doing.
Yeah, well, we asked them to do a pivot, and they did a little bit of a pivot. So,
Yeah.
I don't hate it because Moxley's gonna win. Like it's a TV match. Like again, you watch Mid South, the number 10 contender got title shots. We have this WWE mentality of the person who deserves a shot title is the number one contender, and that's just not sports. Right? Like guys that are unranked or guys that are lower ranked get matches with get title shots. That happens. So
Yeah.
that doesn't
Stipe Miocic just challenged for the UFC World Heavyweight title.
yeah, won a
And I think
match
he was
in 10
ranked like
years.
number 6, and he hadn't actually had to win in a couple of years, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, like
he was just somebody that John Jones had not beaten before, and so they put the match together. So like, yeah, we have the rankings, a structure in place, but as long as you're not coming off some losses, I'd say you're fine.
yeah, I agree. They wanted to get Hobbs on the show. Booking him against Takeshita was probably not the right move, right? But I mean, yeah, that's the problem. Is I feel like I don't feel like there's ever a plan in place.
Yeah,
you know, when there is a plan, the plan doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, like he said, well, we asked them to pivot. It's like, yeah, that wasn't what I wanted them to do, though.
But that's where we are. Like
I
again,
know, but
they're trying with a younger guy.
Yeah, pro wrestling, is always going to be a like a choose your own adventure that never really goes the way you want it to go, and like that's kind of like pro wrestling fandom in a nutshell. So I want Tony to pivot. I want him to go right up to Kenny Omega and John Moxley with Kenny Omega. He didn't even I want him to win it, but if they should at least pivot to that feud. But this is pretty funny. Lady B says Tony Khan has concepts of a plan, like one incumbent president's financial plan, economic plan. Yeah. I didn't say the name. We're not going to go there, but I just wanted Lady B to know that I got the joke.
No comment. Gonna be saying that a lot for the next 2 years. Yeah. I don't, man. It's so disheartening. Like, and I don't know the way out of it is the problem because like we've had 2 years of like, okay, this doesn't make sense. And again, I heard from a buddy of ours. He's like years ago. He's like, nope. When he told me years ago, the wheels are falling off the bus. The wheels are falling off the bus, and I was like, nah, man, they're fine. They're fine. They're fine. I was a hater, and they were right. Like, I don't think Tony has the structure, the storytelling structure in his mind. He's really good at booking supercards. He is.
Yeah.
He puts great matches together.
He does.
But he really struggles with telling a story, especially a narrative story, right? Like a serialized chapter by chapter.
He's had some hits when it comes to serialized storytelling.
Yeah.
I will say Hangman and Swerve was pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's had a lot more misses than hits, I will say that.